All right. All right. Welcome, everybody. We got a great mastermind session scheduled for you today. So, we're going to do something a little bit different today. So, normally at this time, what we do is we'll interview an agent and learn a little bit about their business and what's making them successful. But I had a great opportunity a few weeks ago to go to UWM, United Wholesale Mortgage, who is the number one lender in the United States. Now, Kevin, is it the United States or are they number one in the whole world?
I mean, I would go world. We're number
Okay.
one in the U.S. for sure, but I can't confirm nor deny what's going on in China. But I will say number one in the U.S. I'm going to go out on a limb and say the world. Yes.
Yeah, I would say so. Let's just say they do a lot. and I had a chance to go out to their campus, which is quite an incredible place. If you ever have the opportunity to go out there and really see their operation, it's pretty amazing out there. But while I was out there, I got to meet Kevin McLoughlin, who is an account executive. He's actually the account executive for our lending division, 21st Century Lending. He's also the director of sales for United Wholesale Mortgage. And I got a chance to talk to this guy. And, aside the fact that him and I are very, very similar in the fact that we both have young kids. You have twins, right?
Yes. Identical twin boys. Yep. Yep.
And how old are they?
They're going to be 3 in October, so time
Yeah.
is flying by. Yep. Yep.
So twin boys that are going to be 3 in October. I have a daughter that's going to be 3 in December. You have 3 rescue dogs, right?
Yeah. Yes, we do. My wife has a big heart. It's part of the reason I married her. We'd probably rescue more, but you got to shut them down every once in a
Yeah.
while. So yeah,
Yeah.
we have 3. Yeah.
Which,
Yeah.
like I said, similar is that we also have 3 rescue dogs for the exact same reason. My wife Amber likes to bring dogs home, and I tell her if it comes in the house, I'm not letting it go. Okay, but at some point you have to be like, okay, the house is we got enough. We got enough.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, very similar. We're similar in age. We both are very close connected to the Irish part of our backgrounds, and so naturally, when I met him, I was like, "This guy's awesome. We should interview him." So that's just first thought that popped in my head.
Yeah.
Anyways, but this guy, he is a wealth of knowledge. He's got a great history of success in his business. And, sales is sales. So whether you're a real estate agent, a loan officer, you're an insurance agent, you're a title rep, you're whatever, sales are sales. You have to be able to prospect for business, create a presentation, and close the deal. So, no matter what field you're in, you're going to get a lot from what he has to say. So first of all, buddy, I really appreciate you taking the time to join us here today.
Yeah, I'm honored. Thank you for thinking of me and great to be here with you guys. So
Yeah, absolutely. So give us a little bit of a background on kind of your history, what you do, kind of how you got started, things like that.
sure, sure. So I got started in the industry about 17 years ago. Now it's been 17 great years. It's crazy. You think about how long everybody's probably been in the business a long time that's on this call, but how fast time flies. You're always looking forward to the next month, trying to do better than you did before. And you look up and you find out you've been at United Wholesale Mortgage for just started my 14th year in August, but started at a large retail lender, and got my, kind of got my wings there and cut my teeth a little bit, learned about the business, learned about sales, and had this inkling from a family member of mine that said, "Hey, why don't what do you know about wholesale? What do you know about the differences between retail and wholesale lending?" I said, "Hey, I don't really know a ton." And started to dig in and started to research the differences in pricing and how it's better for the consumer, and learned a lot about it, and had asked some questions to some people that I was working with, and they kind of acknowledged, responded, and pivoted away from actually answering the question. So I knew it was time to leave, but leave that place and join UWM. And at that time, UWM was only about 300 people. I was one of the first 25 account executives here. So it has been, to say it's been a meteoric rise would be putting it lightly. I mean, we have gone from not even being a top 30 FHA lender in the country to, now being the number one lender in wholesale for the last 9 years, soon to be 10, number one overall lender, retail or wholesale, going on the third year now. So it's been awesome to be a part of the team here and grow with the company. In my role now, part of what I do is I bring loan officers over from the retail channel and recruit and get them set up and open up their own companies. And then I'm also in charge of managing 15 of the largest broker correspondent shops that we do business with across the country. So it's been awesome, man, but that's kind of what I do.
So you started when it was, just to give people perspective, you started when there was 300 people. How many are there now?
Good question. There are, I think Matt said yesterday in the meeting, we've got about 9,200 people now. Yep. Yep. Yep.
Wow. So that's pretty amazing. So a question I have for you, I guess, on that is why did you even go to UWM? Because at the time, it's easy to think now, well, yeah, now they're number one, but at the time, like you said, they weren't even in the top 30. There was 300 people in there. So
Mhm.
what was the draw to UWM to go on the wholesale channel?
Yeah, I thought that's a great question. I thought, at the time, in learning a little bit of the differences of direct to consumer sales and business to business sales, was better suited for me to be in something that's B2B, business to business, and thought that it would be something that I could thrive in. And I had met with Matt, and and sat down with him and listened to his vision and what he wanted to turn UWM into. And I had that belief in him, from the beginning. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that at the time that I met with him and sat down with him, that I could envision all of this. I mean, I think I said this to you, Robert, when you were out here. We came from our office space. The original office space we were in would be something similar or akin to a small grocery store. I mean, Albertsons or Save More. I mean, I'm trying to think of like what you guys got out there in Southern California, but from 30,000 square feet to now our north and south building, as you saw, it's around 1.8 million square feet. So it's been quite the growth, man. But I bought in and believed in the vision and the future, and always loved what he had to say when it came to effort and attitude, and success is a choice. And I think that's one of the things, if anybody takes anything from our conversations today, success is a choice. And I firmly believe that.
So it's a great line. Elaborate a little bit more on that.
Yeah. So, he's been preaching the effort and the attitude stuff since I started here. And it's, I can control two things. And I'm a big, we'll get into some of the other things that I think about or what I believe in, but I am a student of Stoic philosophy and thought. And one of the tenets of that, if anyone's not familiar of it, is you can't control what happens, but you can control how you react to it. So I have had multiple instances in my career where things haven't gone the way that I've wanted them to, but I always come back to, listen, I don't have any control over that, but I can control how I react in the situation. And that's a part of it. That's like what I mean when I say success is a choice. It's like we can control our effort, we can control our attitude every day. Every single day. It doesn't matter if you're an agent, doesn't matter if you're an account executive or you're a loan officer. Stuff's going to go sideways in this business. It's how we react. It's how we treat the people that we are interacting with on a daily basis. And that's a really important thing. That's part of how I run my business. So
I love that. I love that. And I think the world that we're living in now with, from a real estate side, these NAR changes, we obviously have the political season coming up, which is always just a bunch of really positive news coming out. And
Yeah,
and just
always.
and just things going on. I think that right there of, we can control two things every day, which is your effort and attitude. And, you can't do anything about NAR. You can't do anything about the politics, but you can control your attitude and your effort every day and how you react to it. So I love it. I love that. That's a really great idea. So, one of the interesting things you mentioned, you got all these different roles in the company. But when you walk through UWM, just so you all know, they have this board and it's got a bunch of people's pictures on it, and it's their top unit producers. Now, again, we're talking about the largest mortgage company, definitely in the United States. And I'm sure we could, if we ran the numbers somehow, I don't know how we do that, but probably in the world. So when you're one of the top unit people at that, imagine Century 21, 14,000 off, 14,000 companies, 100,000 plus agents. Imagine being one of the top people for all of Century 21. Well, right there in the top 10 is the smiling face of Kevin McLoughlin. So, you know, you're obviously doing something really right on the sales side of things. So talk about that. I mean, what's your secret sauce to building your sales career?
Yeah, it's a great question. What I would say, and I mean, this is one of the things I wanted to touch on when you and I connected and you said, Kev, I want to have you on here. And I was thinking back, man, what's some of the things that have made me successful over my career is I live my life in hunger and pursuit of getting better at everything and always learning, right? So I don't care what it's about, what it pertains to. If I want to know about it or learn about it, I'm listening to podcasts on my way, my commute to and from the office. I have, philosophers that, I study some of the ancient wisdom and try to stand on the shoulders of those that are the great thinkers, right? And I try to incorporate it into the business world. So one of those things, aside from Stoic philosophy and thought, is I'm a big economics guy. Okay. And I fell in love. I'm a movie guy too. And I fell in love with this movie when I was in college, and it's called A Beautiful Mind. And there was an economist that came out in the 40s that basically had figured out that Adam Smith was wrong. The father of modern economics in the Western world was wrong, because the invisible hand of capitalism is if everybody acts in their own best interest, capitalism and everything will work out. And that's a really rudimentary way to explain it, but that's the easiest way to explain it. Now, this gentleman with the math, and I would never get into the math because we're not going to do that. But this gentleman said, no, he's wrong. Everybody needs to act in the interest, their own interest, but also in the best interest of those that are in the same market. So what do I mean by this? This is something that's called game theory. This is a popular term or phrase or something that has come up recently in the last, I would say, 5 years. You probably hear people allude to on TV or comment and say, what's the end game, right? What is the end game regarding this? And that's part of game theory. And what game theory is it says, hey, in every situation, every interaction that you have on a daily basis, there is a winner and a loser. Okay. So I have the opportunity to make a winning choice or make a winning decision when I'm dealing with a client that's pissed about something. Something isn't going the right way. I have an opportunity to make the winning decision or the winning choice, or take the winning action, or take a losing action or a losing approach and overreacting, screaming at a client, not being professional, not returning a phone call in a proper amount of time, missing something, right? So game theory is simply can be put, there's zero sum games. There's a winner and a loser. So what I would encourage anyone and everyone on this call to think about is just say, hey, is this a winning decision or a losing decision? If it's your goal to be the top person at the Century 21, your guys' branch, you should be thinking, is this a winning choice or a losing choice? And that's been one of the biggest things that has led, to my success.
I love that. Certainly a lot to unpack there. And for everyone that's analytical on this call, that was probably the greatest 5-minute segment they've ever had on any of these my calls.
Thank you.
So no, I love that. Well, but it's funny though, because we joke about our similarities, but you mentioned the winning decision. My big thing is developing a winning mentality, and everything's always about winning. So it's kind of funny how those line up. So the people on this call have certainly heard the word winning a lot in terms of our conversations. But let's unpack that even a little bit more. So I have a choice of making a winning decision or a losing decision. So could I break that down to even its smallest factor? Like, what am I going to do at 11 o'clock today? Well, a winning decision would be I could go generate some leads, go phone prospect or hit some doors. The losing decision could be that I'm going to, put together a flyer instead of having maybe a marketing team do that. Could you even break it down to something like that?
Yeah, so that's perfect. This is a perfect segue to the next thing I wanted to talk about regarding routine and structure. Okay. So in my basement, we talked about this when we visited with each other. In my basement, there's a sauna. I have the pleasure every morning of being able to wake up. I start my day, so structure and routine. I start my day between 5:30 and 6 a.m. every day. I will work out for a half hour. I will take 20 minutes in the sauna, and that is my time to meditate, my time to pray, my time to get ready for the day. It's my time to take time to learn about something that I want to learn about, right? But that's how I start my day, and it's always a part of my day. My wife will say to me, "Yeah, why don't you just kind of relax a little bit or chill a little bit?" And I say, "No, I mean, it's just who I am. It's what I've become. It's what I've built myself into." But that funnels over not just to the start of the day. The Stoics say Marcus Aurelius says, you start your day, were you made to huddle under the covers? It's one of his lines from his meditations. He said, am I made to huddle under the covers? Or was I made to get out there and attack the world? This guy was the most powerful man in the world, the Roman emperor. And he struggles with some of the same thoughts that we all struggle with. He thinks the same thing. Like, do I want to get up early or would I rather sleep in? So structure, getting my day started early. I get into the office between, 8:30 and 9 in the morning. And then I know, okay, I'm recapping emails from the previous day, making sure I didn't miss anybody. I'm getting the toughest things, the toughest conversations of the day out of the way before 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Because if it's a tough situation, I don't want it to fester throughout the day. I need to make sure my clients understand what's happening. And instead of letting it fester, I always say, let's find a solution, not an excuse. That's what I'm always focused on. People make a lot of excuses. It doesn't matter if I'm right, you're wrong, or vice versa. No excuses, find solutions. That's how you run your business. So from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock, I am prospecting new consumers, new business, new mortgage brokers. From 11 to 12, I'm going through my pipeline, and it is a similar process throughout the second half of the day. But what I will say, and where this comes from and where this is built, Matt Ishbia, our CEO, our owner, this guy, and I've never seen anybody like this in my life. I was a college athlete. It's crazy. I've worked with a ton of people that are hard workers. The guy's worth billions of dollars and he still gets into the office at 4:30 in the morning. For him, it's not about money. It's not about, anything associated with that. It's associated with winning. How do we help our clients grow? How do we help mortgage brokers and correspondent lenders win? Which in turn helps you guys win, because obviously You guys are real estate agents. So the structure and having a daily structure is so, so important because even Matt is the most structured person I've ever met. I've routinely gotten voicemails from Matt between 4:30 and 5 because that's when Matt leaves voicemails. Like everybody knows you're getting a voicemail, you get one from Matt. It's coming from 4:30 to 5 Eastern in the morning. You know it's coming if you're going to get it. So structure is so, so very important. And it's the guide for the day always.
So, but how do you balance that with twin boys that are about to be 3 years old, a wife, three dogs? How do you balance all of this?
And a love for and passion for the game of golf. I don't play as much golf
Oh
anymore.
boy.
I
Oh, okay.
don't
Well,
play. I
we
don't play.
forgot to add that part in there.
Yeah, yeah. I don't play as much anymore, but the way I balance it is being present and being present in the moment in the situation. And with the boys, I don't get a ton of time to spend with my boys. I spend a little bit of time before I go to work in the morning and then a little bit of time with them before we go to bed. But it's always my focus to be present, not to be on the phone, and screwing around on my cell phone or looking at something. I'm trying to be there to watch them learn, watch them grow, and be present in the moment and situation. Because I would say, with me, I might only get a couple hours a day with my kids, but they're going to be the best 2 hours that I can give them. And my wife, it's a similar premise with my wife. We try to take, a date nights a year. And one of the things I was going to talk about on this as well was goals, setting goals. In my basement, in my gym, in my basement, I have a goals board. I have a yearly calendar where I'm literally tracking how many date nights I went on with my wife, because it's that important. How many family events with my sons and my wife? It's that important. How many days I took to work where I focused on self improvement because we talked about my drive. Like, hey, I've got
Right.
a 35-minute drive to and from. Well, cool. You know what? Today I want to pull up, and learn a little bit about the Stoic philosopher Seneca. So I'm going to pull up YouTube. I'm going to listen a little bit about it. I'm going to learn about it. Whatever. It could be anything, but it's trying to utilize the time that you get to the best of your ability, whether you're driving into work or you're being present with your kids or your wife. So the balance is really just about being present and realizing that the time is fleeting. Imagine you go to bed and you think it could be over. You might not wake up. The next day you wake up, you should be thinking, man, this is house money. Like I got more time. I got another day. I got another opportunity to be great. So that's kind of my approach to that.
I love that. I love that. So, do you think I want to go back to this, what you just said there, really being present in the moment? Is it fair to say that if you're present in the moment, you can accomplish more things and therefore have more free time? So, like for
I'd
work,
agree
for
with that.
example,
Yeah, I'd agree with
uh,
that.
so like at work, for example, where people get really, really into multitasking. I'm here, but I'm kind of doing this and doing that. And because of that, it makes the day longer, makes the day feel longer because you're not accomplishing things as fast as you could. Where if you were just present in the moment at that one task of your job, you could get that task done and then move on to the next one and get all of your stuff done. So then you could go home and have those couple hours with your family.
Yeah, no, I think that's getting back to what we talked about a little earlier with the structure and the routine piece.
Yeah.
But I always want my clients to feel, and I've always said this, I work with some clients that close a couple of hundred loans a month. I work with some that close, 30, 20 to 30. But I don't ever want any of my clients to feel like they're not the most important client that I work with. I treat everybody the same. I don't treat people differently. That leads to a level of respect, with the clients, the business partners that builds partnership. with the people that you're working with, similar to you guys working with, with loan officers, as real estate agents. I mean, the business similarities, as we discussed when you were out here, it's business to business sales. I mean, it is very, very similar. So, but yeah, the structure piece is huge. And I'm, I mean, it's changed throughout the years. I mean, I studied art growing up. I painted. I'm a musician. I love to play guitar. But as I've grown up, I've kind of lost some of that artistic side and moved more into the, right brain, left brain. I've become more analytical, more process oriented, and focused on those things. So it's funny how it changes like that. But yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's life. I mean, we all had different hobbies and different things at some point in our lives, and then it's like, yeah, you gotta make a paycheck, or you get married, you have kids, you have a mortgage. It's just different things. So I love
For
it.
sure.
So I want to talk a little bit here about going out and getting business. We're in the business of going out and prospecting and lead generating. So how do you how do you go find business? I mean, again, you're one of the top 10 unit producers in the company. So how are you going out and finding business?
Yeah, so we have a bunch of tools here, but I mean, one of the things that I would say that I use exclusively is tech tied to public data, where we have the ability to see everybody's production. Okay, so this may be a shock or a surprise to some of you. Some of you, it might not be, but I have the ability to pull up and see all the loans that you've closed within the last 6 months. It's public data, it's recorded, so it is delayed. I won't have the most recent month or two, but I can see the units, right? How many loans? I can see the loan volume. I can see the average loan amount. I can see who the real estate agents are on the transaction, right? So we use technology to be able to isolate and find opportunities where we know, hey, this might be a retail loan officer that's not really aware of the differences between retail and wholesale. It looks like they are doing mostly government business. It seems their loan amounts are geared more towards, a VA IRRRL, a refi, a streamline, FHA streamline. So we go through and tailor pitches based on the data. And then, as we talked about when you were out here, how much I love sales, isolating objections, right? I ask open-ended questions where I already know the answer, right? And some people say, well, why would you do that? Why would you ask a question? Don't you want to know what the person is really thinking? And it's like, yes, I do, but I already know what they're thinking. And if I know what the answer is going to be, then I know what my pitch is going to be off of it. So I'll give you for instance. You're probably sitting there and saying, Kev, give me an example of this. So when I talk to somebody, okay, one of the first questions that I discuss with somebody, if it's somebody I've worked with, or I'm just starting to work with as a loan officer, I say, hey, man, I'd say, hey, Robert, I know you've been in the game a long time. You probably worked with a lot of account executives. What's the most important thing for you in working with an account executive? Don't answer yet. The answer is always, wow, I want to be able to get a hold of my AE. I want to know that he's an expert. I want to know that he knows the system and the processes. He can help me get a loan from A to Z in UWM system. And he just knows what's going on. He's the man, right? So the response, if I know that that's coming, it's, well, Robert, I'm an inside account executive. My hours are, 9 to 7 p.m., but it's not uncommon for somebody to reach out to me or text me after hours. I'm reaching out to them, helping them with scenarios. I've been here 14 years. I've closed over 20,000 loans. So there might be a few people here that have closed a few more loans than me. But I'm really, really confident in my knowledge and my ability to help you get a loan from A to Z and help you grow your business, which is what it's all about, right? And then they go, yeah, right. So isolating objections, and we're going to sit down, and I do want to sit down with you and talk about this when we have more time. What are the most common objections that real estate agents run into? Because I can help you guys craft similar responses to those types of things and isolate objections so that when the consumer, for instance, when I used to write loans, it was always common for it to be three objections writing a loan. It was, hey, I want to wait. It was, hey, I need to go talk to my wife. Those were comments, or hey, I'm shopping, right? So another example of this, and we move on, but an example of I want to talk to my wife, I would say, Robert, so it's fair to say that you and your wife's goals financially are the same, correct?
Correct.
Right. So if we can lower your rate by this, and I can help you save this amount of money monthly, and we can help you get this cash out because you guys want to put a pool in. Obviously, you guys are going to want to do that, right? Same goals.
Yep.
Awesome. So cool. So then when you recap the benefits with them and you go through it, you gain agreement with the client. I've been getting Robert to gain agreement with me throughout this last 5-minute session here by ending the phrase with a right, or you with me, or do you understand? He's agreeing with me. He doesn't realize he's agreeing with me. When I go to ask him for the business and I say, Robert, hey man, so cool. We're going to get this appraisal started. You want to put it on your Visa or MasterCard? He's going, oh, Kev, I want to talk to my wife. And I say, we talked about this, brother. You guys are on the same page. We went through it all. So let's get it started. You close, you ask for business again, and you go through what's known as like the cycle of business, or a cycle to close. But yeah, so hopefully that answers that a little bit.
No, I'm looking forward to being able to spend more time with you on that, because you gave me that example, and I was hoping you were, if you didn't give that example, I was gonna ask you to do it. I love that one on, I need to talk to my spouse, or I need to talk to whoever, of just saying, well, look, you all are on the same page on your goals, right? Right. And I look at that as, even just from an appointment setting standpoint, you're trying to set the appointment, you're prospecting, you get someone on the phone who says they're interested in selling their house, and you're trying to close for the appointment Tuesday at 4 o'clock. And they say, well, hold on, I got to talk to my wife first. It's like, well, you and your wife are on the same page with your goals, correct? Well, yes. It's like, boom, then fine, let's get together so then she won't mind if I come over at 4 o'clock on Tuesday, right, to talk about that. So
Yep.
I like that line, because if you say no, you almost, even if you weren't in line, from straight embarrassment, you wouldn't say no.
Right.
like,
There's
like
no
just
way.
out
Yeah.
of,
No.
even if you and your wife weren't, or spouse, or whoever you're talking to, weren't in line, you wouldn't be like, well, actually, Kevin, no, we're
Yeah,
not.
exactly. No, we're not on the same page. It's not working out. All right. Well, I'll help her purchase. I'll help you purchase. But
Yeah.
it goes to show the power of open-ended questions, right? Like if I'm asking somebody for business and you guys have your ways of asking for business or obtaining business, I'm not gonna leave it with a closed-ended question. Well,
Right.
I'm gonna say, so Robert, you want to do this? No, Kev, I don't really feel like it. I mean, or you ask forced choice type of closing questions, or you assumptively close by saying, Robert, hey, I know you guys, and again, an example of a loan officer here, but it's like, hey, I know we're going to get this started. We're going to get it knocked out for you guys. Close of escrow is in a month. I work with a lender. They're unbelievable. Average from submission to clear to close with my number one lender is about 14 and a half days. So the close of escrow is no issue. I see the Visa card here. Let's get the appraisal started. You want me to use the Visa ending in 4080? Let's use
Sure.
that. Let's use that one, right? That's assumptive. You're assuming the sale, assuming the business, and forced choice closes or assumptive closes are, in my opinion, they're the two most powerful asking for business techniques in sales that there is. And then, of course, if you get the objection, you cycle through again. But we can talk about that another time. But It's those are two of the most powerful ones. But ask open-ended questions. Don't, you don't have to be the one talking the majority of the time. In fact, if you're doing a great job, I would say it should be more 60-40. The consumer or client should be doing the majority of the talking, unless, of course, you're being interviewed like we are in this case. So,
So my last question, then we can open it up for anyone that wants to ask a question or put a question in the chat box,
sure.
is so you get clients that, well, let me back up. There's other loan companies out there that people can use. There's interest rates, there's different loan programs, there's costs. I mean, they're just like real estate agents have, there's other real estate agents who charge different commissions and work for different companies and things like that. So what's your what's your secret power or special power or whatever it may be for to be number one, to be the best, knowing that consumers have, or our businesses, brokerages, whatever you're doing, have so many loan officers, so many loan companies, so many account executive choices?
So it comes down to a couple of things. One of the things is individual value propositions, right? So I know, with me, I know where my value is. I know where the value that I can provide in the transaction comes from. Now, this comes from understanding the consumer or client you're talking to, where they need more help, right? Maybe they're a newer loan officer, so you got to hold their hand with them a little bit more and really break everything down. Maybe it's somebody that understands those things, but they say, Kev, can you help break down what's happening in the market right now? Can you explain to me why the Fed is saying that the Fed funds rate is going to go down, but you're telling me interest rates could go up from that? How is that possible? And then it's getting into things regarding our processes that are geared around communication, consistency, and control. And the two biggest things that I know with me that will always help me win business is my availability. My clients love that I'm available. I've picked up on vacations. Again, there's this balancing act of being present, and with my kids and my wife, but they understand, dad likes to work hard. Dad likes to win. Like, they just know that's who dad is. That's who I am. Right. So it's availability is one of the biggest things that it comes down to. And it's that I never assume that I'm always going to get the next loan. I assume the business, I ask for the business and assume the business, but I never take my clients for granted. My clients know I appreciate them. They know, a lot of them I've worked with for 8 to 10 years. They know my kids' names. When they come to town, I say, hey, do you want to stay at the house? Like, we're like family. I try to treat all of my clients like they're family, and they know that I love and appreciate them, because I can't be who I am and win and be successful as an AE if they don't send loans here. And for me, that authenticity and just being who I am, that's a big thing. Be authentic. Don't try to be somebody else. Be you. That's always worked really, really well in them having decisions and choices. They go, man, that's Kev. That's who he is. I like it. I don't feel like Kevin's trying to act. And last thing I'll say on that, because it's part of the sales side of things, and I teach a sales class here at UWM, is I always started off with the authenticity piece with people. I say, guys, you don't have to sound like me. You don't have to do what I do. Just be you. The greatest actors, if everybody's, I ask this question, Robert, who's your favorite actor? Who do you like?
Leonardo DiCaprio.
DiCaprio is great. He's one of my favorites too. I love Leo. I say, but why do you like Leonardo DiCaprio? And then the answer is always the same. People say, well, because he doesn't look like he's acting. He's just, it is who he is. He's being who the character is. There's no acting. So I say to people, don't act, just be who you are, because the authenticity, people pick up on bullshit. Like, hey, this guy's full of shit. No, like be who you are and you will find the right people to work with you. You will attract similar minded people, people who will like what you have to offer. So that answers that.
That's great. That's great. All right. Any questions from the audience that we didn't get answered here today? Unmute or put the question in the chat box if you have anything. We went through a lot.
Hi, Robert. Yeah, so and Kevin, thank you. Really you're a great example of a sales mastery. Just really great. So thanks for sharing that.
Thank you.
Of course, you're welcome. And so the sum zero game. So just to be clear, I've heard game theory before. I've never looked it up, and I don't know anything about it. And you just gave a really good synopsis of what I understand of it. That sum zero, that it turns out it's kind of like a level playing field after each whatever round or session it is. And could you say can you please say that again about and let maybe I think I got the idea of what you're saying. So sum zero game is applied to our life, that so zero being the level playing field, and then each decision that comes up, or each decision that we make, maybe more accurate to say, and then you're saying that it's a win or lose. It's binary.
It is
win or lose. Okay.
Yeah, zero sum game. You understand. So I just evaluate every situation and interaction, whether it be, and I mean, it's interesting. I mean, it goes into everything in my life. And sometimes my wife has to say, and this might be the one time where my wife says, it's not a competition. You don't have to win. Right. And I go, honey, I just want to win at everything. But then when I get into some conversations with my wife, I kind of realize maybe that's one I can afford to lose. And lose a little bit, because I'm going to want to play golf on a weekend or something. But to answer the question again, it's yes, every interaction is an opportunity to win or lose. Every single conversation is an opportunity to win or lose. And one of the things I have great relationships here. People, again, value proposition. I have relationships with Matt and our EVPs where I can walk into their office and say, hey, I think this is messed up, right? You can take two different approaches to it and read the room and say, man, I think my EVP Alan's kind of pissed today. Maybe I'm not going to go in there all fired up and hot. Maybe I'm going to come in there and I'm going to be a little bit less aggressive. Or I need him to know how much I care about something. I'm going to be a little bit more aggressive and say, Alan, what are we doing here? This is affecting the business. There are brokers that are dealing with problems with this. We need to get this fixed now. I mean, I get very granular with something. You can write this down too. It's a study, paralinguistics. It's a study of speech tone, the speed in which you speak. If I want to get somebody to hang on every word that I'm going to say, just like I did, I'm going to slow my speech down. I'm going to try to speak a little softer. So I get really, really granular with that stuff, but I love it. But you have the right concept. That's exactly what it is.
Okay, thanks, Dan. I do see the musician in you with what you just shared too. So that's you're in a dance with what's going on.
Absolutely.
Paralinguistics. Okay, I dig it.
Yeah, awesome, man.
Thank you.
Martin, go ahead. Martin,
he's got his hand up.
There we go.
His virtual hand.
Kevin, thank you so much, Kevin. The simplicity of the wake up in the morning and looking for all the opportunities, and the exercise thing. How do you do that 5 days a week, 6 days a week? And the second question, my wife gets all my days off. I love that the way you keep track of, how many times you've been out, you got on a date with her.
Mm-hmm.
I love my wife, but what if I could work a little more?
Yeah, I think it's striking the balance, and it's a good question, Martin. I work out, or I try to work out 5 days a week, right? Because the time on the weekends is time with family, it's times with my sons. But again, and I would encourage you guys to do this. Go on Amazon or go to Office Depot or wherever and buy a calendar. And this is two reasons why you do this. You track it for one, but you buy a calendar and you're starting to mark these things off like every day. And maybe I'll take a picture of it and send it to Robert and maybe he'll share with you guys. But like I write SI for self-improvement because I've done my self-improvement, and I write workout or WO for a workout. And then you start to get through the year and you go, man, I had all these goals to start the year. And, how do I attack a goal or try to achieve a goal? Well, you have to have a game plan. And it's got to be quantifiable, and you have to be able to measure things to see that you're getting to where you want to get to. So I write these things down, and then you look at the calendar, you go, wow, I've already got 130 self-improvement days knocked out for the year. I've only got 10 dates with my wife. I need to pick it up on that. So I think it's really important to track these things because, goals without a deadline or goals without specifics or a number, SMART goals is what it's referred to, the acronym. Like those are wish lists, man. Like people wonder, they're like, man, well, I'm not making any progress. Do you track anything? Do you track how many phone calls you make? Do you track how many flyers you generated? How many doors you've knocked on? I mean, I don't know exactly what you guys do to generate business, so forgive me on that. But like if you're not tracking anything or it's not measured, it's really, really hard to have accountability. Like, where's the accountability? Who's going to hold you accountable, Martin? Are you going to hold yourself accountable? And that's another thing with the Stoic philosophy is accountability strict with yourself, understanding with others, right? You want to achieve something, you want to be successful, you want to be great. And it starts with you. You need to hold yourself accountable. I wake up early in the morning and I'm not perfect. It's not 100% of the time. I've had my days where I look at the alarm clock and say, hey, the boys were up at 3:30 this morning because they have separation anxiety and I got to go lay in the room with them. And I'm kind of tired. I kind of want to lay down. Nobody bats 1,000, but if you can get in the mindset of, hey, I need to start looking at these things and tracking them, I'd be willing to bet, man, you're going to see the growth and the results.
Love it.
That
Love
is
it.
so
Love it.
great.
Love it.
Thank you so much, Tim. I
You got-
Love it.
appreciate
Love it. Love it. All right. So I want to be respectful of Kevin's time. I told him we would go till 1 o'clock. So this has been absolutely phenomenal. I'm over here taking notes and writing some really great ideas down. I absolutely love this. So everyone, do me a favor, unmute yourselves. Give this man the respect he deserves and a round of applause for taking time out of it because he's 3 hours ahead. It's 4 o'clock over there. So give him certainly the respect that he deserves for coming on here and
Thank
dropping
you.
all
Thank
kinds of
you for
knowledge.
jumping
So
on.
Thank
4
you.
hours ahead.
great stuff, man. I can't thank you enough for doing this. Again, I know you're a really busy guy, not only at work but personal life. So taking the time out of your day to hop on here and share some of this with us is just really, really great. I mean, there's a lot to unpack on what you said. I took down notes, but I'm glad it's recorded.
Well, I'm glad.
I'm glad it's recorded.
Yeah, I'm glad I could share it with you guys. And the last thing that I would say, and this is a Teddy Roosevelt line, and I love it, a student of history as well, is you can wear out or rust out. The choice is yours. I'd rather wear out. Rust out meaning you're not using your abilities, you're not pushing yourself as hard as you can. So I always try to say, hey, wear out. I'd rather wear out than rust out. So there you go.
I love it. I love it. Wear out than rust out. I love it. All right, my man. Well, hey, I appreciate you again. Thank you so much for hopping on here. And definitely looking forward to sitting down and chatting with you some more and going over some more of this sales and mindset stuff right up my alley. So looking forward to that.
Awesome, guys. Thank you so much. It was my pleasure. Thank you, guys.
All right, buddy. Good to talk to you.
All right. See ya. Bye.